every new addition to the game, the power limit for players keeps growing, with seemingly no end. Players showcase their strength in numerous ways, primarily using the final boss of the game as a benchmark for their newfound strengths and strategies. As of August 12, 2025, the records for each class clock in at 58.4 seconds for Steam Mechanicus, 1 minute 8 seconds .533 for Spellweaver, 1 minute 35.3 seconds for Dragon Knight, and 1 minute 42.717 for Ranger. Wait, Ranger has a slower time than Dragon Knight despite being known for having higher damage output? Well, hard to believe if you take into account that the common strategy for Ranger runs switched to Dragon build on phase 3, while the Dragon Knight strategy only grows stronger due to the nature of Dragon build paired with Lightning Mastery. It will most certainly make sense why Ranger is at the bottom. Or well, was. In this video, I aim to take my personal strategy of taunting Mortis with Wolf and 3 while using the BGH set for the full run and aim for the first sub 130 run done by Ranger on video. Let's begin. Let's start with a rundown of my speedrun strategy. I start with partially stacked Mortis set and fully stacked Belt of Zeal. The reason for the partial stacks is so that I can build enough health to allow my wolf to withstand Mortis throughout all phases. For phase 1, I summon the wolf while using a health pet plus the 10% health from Azar Gloves, stack up the 100% damage boost from having fast attack speed by using Dead Sweep on air, and switch back to my full damage build. Usually, the Skelly Dragon will fall within 7 to 8 seconds. After this, it's time to summon the 3 in the middle of where all mobs will spawn and swap Precise Shot for Scatter for this phase. Optimally, I avoid getting stunned and have to deal with as few troll monsters as possible, as they are immune to damage for a few seconds after spawning. Once cleared, I switch back to the one-handed weapon and regain my attack speed stacks for phase 2. When phase 2 Mortis spawns, he can be attacked for roughly 4 seconds before he initiates a chase or attack sequence. This is enough time to fire a full volley of ticket plus explosive arrows before I need to run. Best case scenario, I plant my 3 after he starts chasing me and run past it, enabling Mortis to forget about me and target the wolf. As long as Mortis only hits my wolf, I am able to defeat him by the time the 3 expires or get close enough to where I don't run the risk of dying. After phase 2, I restack the damage buff one last time, summon the 3 far away and approach Mortis for one last round. Phase 3 is where the difficulty kicks in. Mortis will initiate as soon as his spawn animation ends. To make the taunt work, I have to have the wolf close enough to where it gets hit, but also have the 3 already summoned far enough to where it doesn't get hit by either the slash attack or the spin attack. When Mortis drops to 2/3 health, a bunch of monsters spawn. There are enough ranged monsters to put both the 3 and me at risk of ending the run. I used to prioritize them in my old run, but in order to save time, I have to hope that enough of them will attack the wolf instead of the 3. When Mortis reaches 1/3 of his max health, a few leaders will spawn. If my 3 is placed close enough, they will get pulled by it and defeated by the splash damage of the explosive arrows, completely dodging any possible shield spawns. If I manage to execute the strategy with 0 chokes, the sub 130 Ranger record should easily be mine. My personal best prior to recording this video was 1 minute and 49.2 seconds. Trying to cut off as much as 20 seconds from this sounds easier on paper than it is in reality. Possible time saves can be performed by using the 400% Thunder Magic Essences instead of the 300% Poison ones, by not allowing the phase 3 mini-bosses to cast shields around Mortis, and by setting up phase 3 Mortis to attack my wolf with minimal running. However, before I would be able to even get to that point, I had to deal with a new enemy joining the fight, the timer. For this video, I decided to use Life Split to track my best times in real time instead of having to do so during editing. While the times won't be 100% accurate due to human error on starting and ending the timer, it is still close enough to give me an idea how I'm doing. However, at first, I was struggling to remember how and when to split to begin with. Here are some of those timer fails. A small amount of runs were doomed to fail to the RNG of Mortis set. In fact, in one run, Mortis was so fed up that he decided to go for a double kill. However, the majority of the runs failed because I didn't consider a critical detail while using Under Magic Essences. Sure, I was well aware that every damage tick had a 1 in 200 chance to make Mortis go berserk on me, but that wasn't a big deal since in many runs this didn't trigger until very late into a phase. However, I completely forgot about the smaller and more common effect of increasing the damage of the target by upwards of 100%. It took me multiple runs of losing my wolf, and by extension the run, because of this damage overhaul. Winning a fight without the wolf is still possible, however, doing so in a decent amount of time, not so much. Additionally, the anti-magic essences gave me another problem. I consider myself below average in terms of typing speed and ability to mash a set of hotkeys. Having to perform multiple bar switches, essence switches, and toggling the timer the moment I see the skeleton become active gave me a number of fails from the very beginning, including one run where I literally rage quit 5 seconds in. And another where it took me a whopping 30 seconds to realize I never switched back to two-handed weapon. Getting those early fails meant not experiencing the late part of the run. To remedy this, I attempted some runs without Under Magic Essences, and as a result, I got this run. A near flawless 136 and a new Ranger record. Besides the fail at the monster phase, everything else fell right into its place. Now comes the final question. How many runs will it take me to do this with Under Magic Essences? And to be more exact, how many times do I need to do this to have a chance of my wolf not dying in phase 2? As it turns out, most attempts did get to phase 3. In fact, it only took me 8 attempts after the 136 to get a new record. 132.91. Despite the early under magic trigger and the lag losing me one volley of explosive arrows, I still beat my time. Moreover, after retiming, the final time ends up being 132.5. Had I not had this phase 2 skill issue, that run would have completed what I sought out to do. Unlucky for me, shortly after this I ran into an issue I didn't plan for: running low on Ender Magic Essences. Despite having played most of the editions of Desert of Essences, I didn't plan for needing to collect Ender Magic Essences in advance, and this put me on a strict timer. Eventually, it was down to this final chance to get a sub 130. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. For the second time this summer, I'm forced to stop pushing for a lower time due to lack of resources. I will come back with a short 2-minute video of the new record whenever I manage to break it. If you want to use this strategy and bring the ranger time even lower, go ahead and mention me in your description so I can find and watch it. But for now, we have successfully reclaimed the number 3 spot on the all classes Mortis Speedrun leaderboard once again. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.